What have we got this time?
Okay, this time I have brought for you the most incomplete book that I've ever brought. This is an actual printed page from the Gutenberg Bible, the very first printed book.
Well, there was printing before Gutenberg's printing press, but those all sucked.
This time I think I brought Rick something really unbelievable. It's a single leaf from the Gutenberg Bible. It's really the first substantial printed book in the history of the world.
So we have a leaf here, which is a page.
This is one page from the Gutenberg Bible. You may ask why there is only one page. In the 1920s, a famous book dealer named Gabriel came upon an incomplete copy of the Gutenberg Bible, and he broke it up into single pages, and he put it with a bibliographical essay, and he had it very beautifully bound, and he sold them as single pages where he puts a leaf of the Gutenberg Bible and in the approximate years that they believe it was printed.
Is it printed on the other side?
Yeah, it's a double-sided leaf. It's printed on very fine paper that they imported from Italy into Germany in the period. And it's been hand rubricated with colors, with red and blue, after it's been printed, so that it looked more like a manuscript.
That's pretty amazing.
The Gutenberg Bible to this day is regarded as one of the most beautifully printed books.
He had to invent the type. He had to invent the press that it went into. He had to invent the ink. It was a massive undertaking.
It's like the internet, to think how quickly they went from printing a book like this to having people copy the invention, to go throughout Europe, setting up printing centers all through Europe within 50 years.
It literally was like the internet. It went from this to scientific books, to fiction, to dirty pictures, to a little bit of everything. And
well, there's no more important invention in the history of democracy than the printing press, because it's the democratization of knowledge. It puts the power of knowledge into the hands of the people.
And you found this in one of your travels?
Well, this came from an estate. It originally belonged to a printer, and I bought it from the estate. I mean, I was beyond thrilled to find it. This particular leaf is from the Old Testament. It's from the second book of Chronicles, which is towards the end of the Hebrew Bible, and it talks about the purification of the temple in Jerusalem.
Cool. Okay, so the big question, how much you want for it?
I came up with a number, and you better brace yourself, but remember the importance of the book, of $65,000 for the page.
Okay. Like always, I'm going to call on Rebecca. Let me get her down here.
I would be delighted. She's going to be, I think she'll be flawed to see it.
$65,000. Adam is a regular customer of mine that sells me things on a regular basis. He brought in a leaf from the Gutenberg Bible, and it's absolutely amazing. But he wants $65,000. And it would be a sin if I didn't make a profit on this thing. So I'm calling in Rebecca.
Hello.
The world's most famous book person meets the world's most famous book.
Is that what I think it is?
It's a page of it.
Right, a leaf.
A page to me, a leaf to you.
Well, a page is actually one side and then the other, so it's two pages, one leaf.
All right, you got me. Okay.
Well, the most important thing is it's a leaf from the Gutenberg Bible.
Yeah, and I just touched it. The Gutenberg Bible, I just touched it.
So when was the last complete Gutenberg Bible sold?
The full set hasn't been sold since the 70s.
Yeah, it's been decades upon decades.
Okay,
and in the meantime, other books have gone for over $10 million. I mean, this would just be astronomical. It would break all the records.
So the thing is it real?
Can I hold it up to the light?
Sure.
Okay. I've seen Gutenberg Bibles before, but I don't think that I've had a chance at this length to really inspect one. Like, this is a chance that most people are never going to get, even rare book specialists.
I would touch it, but I'm afraid I'd catch on fire.
I'm holding it up to the light so that I can see the chain lines that you see in handmade paper that comes specifically from paper of this period.
It's real, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What's it worth?
Dealers I know and trust, they're gonna place this around $80,000. So I think that is fair to ask for the way things are looking right now in the market.
You're the best.
Yep, happy to help.
Well, thanks so much, Rebecca. Really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
So you heard from your friend and eminent book expert.
So how much would you be willing to go? Of all the business we've done over the years, like...
You give me a number, what you're comfortable with.
40,000.
I can't do 40 on it.
I mean, that's what I feel comfortable with. Auctions are definitely not an exact science.
Yeah, I mean, 40,000 is just so on the low scale in terms of what I can take for it. I mean, I didn't even want to come down so low, but 55. You know, I'm trying to be fair with you, Rick.
And I know you are. I would go 45,000. That's the best I could do.
I'm going to offer it to you for 47,000, and it would be foolish for you to say no. And that is a price I did not imagine I would even agree to.
I have a CFO in an office right down the hallway that's going to be really mad at me. So 47, we got to do.
They're not going to be mad when you make a small fortune.
It's amazing. I'll meet you right up front. Let me get someone to keep an eye on this, and I'll do some paperwork.
Why do you need someone to keep an eye? It's only a page.
No, it's 2 pages. It's 1 leaf.
Oh, you're right.
That's right. I now own a page of the Gutenberg Bible. What can I help you with?
I have a Cardinals ring I'd like to sell you.
Baseball or football?
Neither. This kind.
Oh, this kind.
That's right.
I think I did that right.
I came to the pawn shop today to try to sell my 19th century Cardinals ring. I recently acquired it from a friend of mine. It's not anything I'd ever wear, and I'd rather have the money. My bottom dollar is $6,300. The value is in its role in history.
This is supposedly from a cardinal?
Supposedly from a cardinal. It's from the 19th century, and we know that because of the jeweler, a gentleman by the name of Fromont-Marie. You'll see his name on there.
Fromont-Maurice is a big name in jewelry. They even have really exquisite pieces that are in the Louvre. If this was manufactured by them, it's worth a lot more money. Why do you think it's a cardinal's ring?
One of the gemologists that I took it to do some research on it indicated that it had to be some type of religious icon.
Cardinals, I know there's over 100 of them.
Yeah.
And I think their official title is like they're a Prince of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
You know what the center stone is?
It's a garnet, I believe.
It could be a garnet, yeah. It could be a sapphire. Sapphires come in every single color in the rainbow. So how much do you want for it?
Well, for the ring itself, I'd love to get $6,000.
Okay.
I've been told by the gemologists that appraise it is that they're not the highest quality stones. I'm not trying to represent or sell this on the basis of the stone. The value is the value in antiquity, its value in history.
But the thing is, I have to verify that it's actually a cardinal's ring.
See, I have faith because I've had the ring in my possession.
If it's a cardinal's ring, I mean, it's definitely going to add a lot of value on top of everything else. Let me go give someone a call. I'll get him down here, find out if it's a cardinal's ring, okay?
Sounds good, sir.
All right, I'll be right back.
Thank you. If he tells me the ring didn't belong to a cardinal, I would really be surprised. But the thing I have going for me is the craftsman. That's what I'm going to try to sell.
Mark!
How you doing?
Oh, just living the dream.
So what do we got today?
The supposed cardinal's ring.
Really? I'm the administrator of the Clark County Museum System, and I specialize in any form of historical artifact. Okay, the Ring of Office in the Catholic Church goes back to the 7th century AD, when they started officially saying, this is how we're going to recognize your office. The Pope presents you with a ring. It's a big deal. If this is actually the ring worn by a cardinal, that's an unusual piece. A cardinal normally is buried with their ring. To have an actual cardinal's ring would be an extraordinary piece to have come in here. So, what's your concerns about it?
My big concern is it a cardinal's ring?
I do know that there are certain things to look for. Today, when a ring is given to a new cardinal, the ring's design is approved by the Pope. Every cardinal that's being raised to cardinal at the same time gets the same ring. And so there's a continuity of ring design. In the 19th century, that wasn't necessarily the case. So one of the things that you want to find is some sign of the church and some sign of papal authority. In the 19th century, any ring coming from the Pope would have most likely the crossed keys of St. Peter's on it. In here, you've got a very nice cross, almost a Maltese cross on both sides. Unfortunately, that's all you see. There is no other symbology of the Pope on this ring. So it is probably not a ring of office.
Probably not a ring of office for a cardinal or for a bishop?
For a bishop, for a cardinal, for either. For the ring to be the ring of office, that's the only ring that counts. This would have had other symbology on it, and it just does not.
Okay.
Thanks, man. You're the best.
Alrighty, thank you.
It's really disappointing that the Pope's mark is not on this thing, but we still have an antique ring from a famous jewelry house, so I'm still interested. Before I make you an offer, I want to go test the stones, look at them underneath a microscope, and if everything's cool, I'm going to come back and make you an offer.
All right.
All right, I'll be right back.
Thank you.
I'm digging this thing, but old doesn't necessarily mean valuable. I got to get in the lab and figure out what kind of stones we're talking about here. Hey, Jeff, you got your clothes on?
Yeah.
What kind of stone is that?
I'm the precious gemstone expert here at the pawn shop. I identify gemstones using a variety of different lab equipment. Each gemstone has different growth patterns and identifying characteristics. So what I'm trying to find is inclusions that are very indicative of what gemstone they are.
So what do we got?
This is a hessonite groschlerite garnet.
It's a garnet.
Yes, orange garnet.
That's what they call an orange garnet? As a heschlite.
Hessonite, most of them. They have different varieties and species.
Emeralds on the side, right?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Now that I know what the stones are in this ring, making an offer will be easier. But I do need to take into account the entire ring, not just the stones. All right, it's a garnet. Those are emeralds.
Okay.
Just so you know, my jeweler's in the back can make this ring for under $1,000. But we do have the manufacturer.
And shoot me an offer.
1,500 bucks.
Whew.
Okay, this is a really famous manufacturer, but the stuff of his that goes for big money is really elaborate pieces.
I won't do 1,500. And what's the best you can do?
The best I can do is 2,000, period. The other problem with this ring is a big problem on a ring. It's unsizable. Most rings, they leave a simple piece of gold on the back. There's no decorations on it. You can cut and size that. That you can't. The decoration goes all the way around. $2,000, I'm not gonna go a penny more.
Well, I'll probably be more blessed having the 2,000 than I will having the ring, so you got a deal.
Apparently you're blessed.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, I'll meet you right up there.
2,000 is a lot less than what I was trying to get, but it's better than nothing, and I'm happy with it.
Hey, how can I help you?
I have some, what I think are very interesting items
Okay.
that I don't think you maybe have ever seen before. These are papal slippers. They belonged to Pope Leo XIII.
Look comfortable to me, Rick.
I came down to the pawn shop today to try to sell my slippers and cap that belonged to Pope Leo XIII. I inherited them about 20 years ago. I want to sell them, but I don't know what they could possibly be worth or if someone would even want to pay money for them.
Where in the world did you get these?
My aunt was a nun, and I was helping clean out some of her closets. And I said, Auntie, what's in this cute little suitcase? She said, oh, just some slippers that belonged to Pope Leo XIII.
And do you know anything about them?
He was Pope from 1878 until 1903 when he died, and he had the third longest papacy in Pope history.
I'm just still sort of overwhelmed. Pope Leo was definitely up there on the list of famous popes. He thought science and religion should coexist, which was pretty controversial at the time. What else do we have?
We also have the cap that was worn by Pope Leo XIII.
Okay, that's a big wow factor right there.
We also have his stockings.
I'm amazed. We just don't get stuff like this walking through the door every day.
Yeah. You got the Pope's shoes.
I'm telling you. Yeah.
I mean, did she tell you how she got them or anything like that? She just said it's a box full of Pope stuff?
There's some writing on the front of this box. It's hard to read, but it says brocade, velvet brocade slippers said to have belonged to Pope Leo XIII. Silk stockings, also his. Cap, also his. Given to me some years ago by an Italian priest, Father Capiotani, and then it's signed and it's dated, looks like 1937.
What do you want to do with this stuff?
Well, I would like to sell them.
Well, we can stand here and talk all day about these slippers. We don't know a damn thing. Let's call somebody.
Yeah. So let me go make a phone call. Like I said, rarely am I speechless, but this is...
You are this time. Let's go.
Okay.
Thank you.
We get religious items in here all the time, but something that actually belonged to the Pope, I gotta assume these are really valuable. But how do you prove these were the Pope's? So check this out. That was supposedly owned by the Pope, Leo XIII. The Pope's shoes, the Pope's hat, Pope's,
All right.
his socks.
This is interesting. Leo XIII, he served as Pope from 1878 to 1903, was very influential in how the Catholic Church was changing at that point. At that point, the Catholic Church was under siege in Italy. There was a huge anti-clerical, anti-church movement. He's the first Pope that was ever filmed, and he's the first Pope that we have on tape. He's the first Pope that you can actually hear him speaking. If these are actually his, they are significant. The Pope is probably one of the top moral authorities in the world. This is a position that doesn't have a lot of temporal power, but he has moral power. And we have seen popes who have made enough of a difference that entire governments have changed. Okay, well, let's take a look at them. The popes used a particular type of slipper that was consistent for about 500 years. The construction appears absolutely correct. They had a leather sole. The uppers would be velvet like this. Oh, this is good. It's a satin interior. It's handmade. It's gold threading on it, all of which is correct. Now, the Zucchetto, I can tell, is not in the best of shape. The problem here is that Zucchetto is done with silk, and at the turn of the century, in order for silks to fall correctly, the silk was treated with metallic salts. And what happens if the salts cut the threads? You can see this surface layer has almost completely disintegrated. The inner lining is a very soft kid leather, and that would make sense.
All right, so what do you think? Did these belong to the Pope?
Maybe. I hate to do that to you, Rick. I hate to do that to you. They're the right time period. They're made right. I would give it about a 75% yes.
Okay.
You know? It's a problem that you run into when you've got something that belonged to somebody. You know, unless you've got that person having written their name in it. A lot of times it's real hard to say absolutely.
This is exactly what I was afraid of. This is one of the coolest things to walk in my shop in a while, but there's just no way to prove they're real. And the thing is, I really do believe her story. What did you want for him?
To be honest, I don't know.
What do you think, Rick?
You know what? I normally don't do this, but I'm gonna pass. I mean, it's, you know, I can't get a definitive answer on this stuff, but I have to guarantee this stuff when I sell it.
Sure.
Thanks for
Thank you
bringing
so
it in.
much. You're welcome. My pleasure.
Thank you, young lady.
Well, obviously, we didn't make a deal, but I learned a ton about them. I feel really good about the expert's opinion. So someday I would love to sell them and cash in on that inheritance.
Ciao, buongiorno, sì, grazie.
What are you doing?
I'm learning Italian
Why would you be learning Italian?
because when I'm in Italy, I want to be able to communicate with the locals.
You're going to Italy.
Yes, I'm going to Italy. I recently bought a Zucchetto, which is the little cap the Pope wears. I have to get it authenticated, Rick. You know, that's the right thing to do. That's the next step. So, I've been inspired to go to Italy. I'll be off very shortly.
You know what? That actually sounds like fun because remember the philosophy guy I was telling you about earlier? Rebecca found a lead. A first edition book by Giordano Bruno that I've been wanting forever that she says is in a bookstore in Italy. We'll cruise around Rome. It'll be fun.
So now you're going to Italy too.
Oh, yes.
I want to go to Italy.
But who's going to run the store?
You don't need to go to Italy. You don't have any business out there.
Okay. All right. Here's the reality of the situation, son. I can go to Italy. Chum can go to Italy. We can go to Italy with each other, but I can't go to Italy with you because that way Chum would have to run the store, and we know that can't happen. So you can't go. We can go.
So basically, because he's incompetent, I can't go on vacation.
Yep.
That's it. And I'm going to Italy.
Man, you guys suck.
You've already booked your trip?
I've got it all booked. Yes, ready to go.
Okay, well, give me your flight info. I'll see if they have any first-class tickets. And I don't think we'll be sitting together.
I've been dreaming about taking a European vacation for a long time. And finally, Rick and I made it to Italy. There's so many things I want to do here, but as always, it's business before pleasure. Back in Vegas, I bought a skull cap worn by a pope known as Zucchetto. Part of this trip is to prove to Rick that I made a good purchase, but the other part is so I could have a Roman holiday. All right, Rick, I know you're sick of walking around the city, so I got you a van on your company card, don't worry. And we're gonna go get this Zucchetto checked out. You're gonna be really proud of me once you realize how well I did.
This wasn't a lot of money, was it?
I don't know, I put it on your credit card.
So this Zucchetto inspired Chum for this Roman holiday. He paid over $3,000 for it. He did not get it authenticated or anything. And apparently he has found someone who can authenticate it. So we'll see what happens.
All right, Rick, you're about to see the reason we came here. Father Josh.
Chumley, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for meeting me today.
Glad to meet with you.
How's it going? I'm Rick.
Father Josh, good seeing you. Welcome to the Eternal City. I'm Father Joshua Rodrigue. I'm Assistant Professor of Theology at the Pontifical Gregorian University and the Pontifical University of the Holy Cross. I received a phone call from Chumley, and he has an item belonging to Pope Pius XII, and so he wanted me to meet up with him today here in Rome to authenticate that item.
You know, I called you down because I
Yes.
wanted you to look at this Zucchetto.
Okay. Do you know what a Zucchetto is?
I was told it was a zucchini.
Yes, that's, well, you know, you're not too far from the mark. The Zucchetto, the name Zucchetto comes from actually the word zucca, which is Italian for pumpkin. And you can sort of see that it looks like the top of a pumpkin. And it comes from the early times when they had what was called tonsuring, which was they cut a piece of hair off the top of the head. Think of like the Friar Tuck look.
Okay.
And so it was mainly to protect the shaved head from the elements. We don't do that anymore unless some of us are blessed with a natural tonsure.
I feel that, yeah.
The reason he wears his hat.
That's why hats are there, protect us.
What was Pope Pius XII known for?
Well, he was really known as the Pope during World War II. He came into his pontificate in 1939. So all during World War II, he was sort of holding things together, really, in Rome.
Okay. So was that Pope Pius XII's Zucchetto?
Wait a second. I have this letter here.
Well, no, this is, it's from the Anticamera Pontificia. Essentially, it's the papal chambers, and it's signed by the Cameriere Segreto Partecipante, which translates into the participating secret waiter. This isn't the guy that's going to bring, you know, pasta to the Pope and all that. So he would be the one that would wait with dignitaries that were coming to meet the Pope. So the document is correct.
Okay.
And the Zucchetto itself, usually you can tell by the type of cloth that's used is sort of a watered silk, and usually you would find that with the Holy Father. And so no doubt that this would belong to Pope Pius XII.
That's good news. We got an amazing Zucchetto from Pope Pius XII himself.
Okay, pretty amazing.
Do you know how much this would be worth?
Well, normally with relics, we don't sell relics because of, you know, just the sacred value of it. However, after you had called, I'd done some research to look and see what, you know, you would find in an auction. And here is Pope Pius XII, more or less $3,500.
Okay. Well, you heard the man. Father says this is a holy relic. It's worth more than I paid for it, but I don't think we're going to be able to sell this, Rick. I think we're going to have to put this on display in our shop.
I really appreciate the trouble you coming out and everything
No
like
problem.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Good seeing y'all.
Yeah.
Enjoy the rest of the city.
If you get to Vegas, come and see us.
I'll go for the buffets.
Vegas is no place for a father.
Maybe Chum did purchase this for the right price, but I would suggest that he maybe keep it with him and maybe let Pope Pius XII's intercession sort of help him out throughout life.
So I'm in Rome and I'm on a mission. Rebecca has told me about a rare bookstore here that might have a first edition of a book by Giordano Bruno, the martyr of science. I've been looking for one of his books for my entire life. He was a radical thinker whose theories threatened the Catholic Church. They ended up ordering all of his books destroyed, so only a few exist anywhere in the world. Giordano Bruno. He was the first one to say that the universe is infinite, and the church did not like any of that. So in 1600, he was burned at the stake right where I'm standing. He's been a hero of mine forever, so I'm going to the store. Hopefully they have it, and I can make a deal. If we do, this will be the greatest vacation of my life. Wow. Hello.
Hi, welcome to my bookshop.
Hey, how's it going?
Nice to meet you.
I was recommended to you by a friend of mine, so.
Okay, we have something interesting. My bookstore is a family business and is a bookshop since 100 years. We find all our books in private collections, very well preserved and very, very rare.
What do you got?
We can start an early edition of Machiavelli, The Prince.
That'd be pretty amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa.
No.
So what year is this?
In Venice, 1544.
This is pretty amazing. Every tyrant should read this. This is how you maintain your power. We still use the term in the States. Very Machiavellian. Okay. So how much is something like this?
6,000 euros.
Okay. That's pretty amazing. But the main reason I'm here is I heard you have a first edition Giordano Bruno.
Yes, maybe it's the best piece in my bookshop.
Can I see it?
Sure. It's here, under key. This is the Giordano Bruno.
Ah, Giordano Bruno.
The Giordano Bruno is a very, very rare first edition, printed in 1587. I think there will be 50 copies known. This book is very, very rare.
This is a beautiful edition. This is Latin. The progress of the hunter's lamp of logical methods.
Yeah.
This is a small treatise. More on the logical method, the scientific method. For years and years, I've always wanted a book by him. This guy believed that the stars were suns and planets went around them. I mean, this was before telescopes he was coming up with this stuff. And this was forbidden knowledge. You know, he was going against the teachings of the Catholic Church. They ordered all of his books burned.
Yeah.
And to be caught with one of these books, it was a really, really bad thing. They got rid of all the books, and very, very few of them remained. The last one I saw of this that sold was like 1903?
Yeah, I found it, yeah.
God, this is pretty amazing. All right, the big question.
Yeah.
How much do you want for it?
You are American, so let's talk in dollar. 120,000.
I was thinking more like $80,000?
No, I can't. I'm sorry. It's impossible like this.
I mean, what would be your best price?
Let's do 110. It's the best I can do.
You could do 100,000. It's a small book. I will give you $100,000 for it.
Let's do this deal.
All right, $100,000.
$100,000.
This has been an amazing day. I am going to go get the wire transfer figured out. I would shop more, but I don't have any more money to spend. It's been an amazing day. I paid a lot for it, but I don't care. This has been something I've been looking for years. And now I'm going to have a glass of Italian wine and celebrate.
Hey, Corey.
What's up, Adam? How you doing?
Good. How's it going? Where's your dad?
He took off somewhere with Chum. Why? What's up?
I dragged in another book for him. You're gonna have to buy it then.
What is it?
Well, you've heard of Geneva watches, right?
Yeah.
Well, this is the Geneva Bible. It's a Protestant Bible printed in the year 1583.
You know, King Henry basically decided that he wanted a divorce and they wouldn't give it to him, so he basically ended Catholicism in England and started his own religion because he hated his wife that much.
Men have been known to do a lot of things for women.
Yeah, I can't imagine hating somebody that much.
My name is Adam. I'm coming back to the pawn shop today with a really interesting 16th century English Bible. It's known as the Geneva Bible. It's a really fascinating relic of history and an important book. So I'm asking $1,600. I mean, every copy is unique, and I think that's a reasonable and fair price for it.
I don't think I've had one of these in here yet. Can I touch it, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
These things always scare me because they're fragile.
Protestantism flourished in England, but then Mary came to the throne in 1553, and she wanted to revert England back to Catholicism.
She banned these Bibles being printed.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Didn't she burn out all the Protestants' eyes or something?
Bloody Mary, that's it. You probably know the drink for sure. I mean, she definitely tortured and persecuted a lot of Protestants. So the Protestants fled to Geneva, which was a refuge for them. And for the first time, really, they translated the entire Bible out of the original languages, Aramaic, Hebrew, and Greek, into an English Bible. And this was the first really accessible Bible that people could read in the English language.
So for being that old, I mean, it's in pretty good shape, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's got some condition flaws, for sure.
Okay. What are you looking to get out of it?
I'm looking for a very modest price, I think. Like $1,600 for it. They're still rare and desirable because it's an interesting Bible and it's so famous and it has such importance in history. I mean, if your dad was here, he would grab that in a second from me.
God, I wish I knew more about this stuff. But let me give Rebecca a call and have her come down and take a look at it.
Cool, thanks a lot. That can only help me. She's extremely knowledgeable, and she's going to emphasize the importance and history of the Bible to him. I hope that's enough to sway him.
I heard something about a Bible.
When it comes to books, she's the Word of God.
All right, so what is it?
I just don't know. I mean, I know it's a Geneva Bible. I know about Bloody Mary. I know about King Henry. But what a Bible's worth these days, I just don't know.
I'm really glad Corey called me down. He seemed so lost.
One thing that we take for granted is that the Bible being translated into English was a revolutionary act for hundreds of years that would get you burnt at the stake. And this revolution affected our English language culture. I mean, this is the Bible that Shakespeare used.
I mean, it is kind of funny that they printed it in English in a country where they don't speak English.
They actually used smuggling networks to get it into England. So this was contraband.
All for a book.
That said, there's a lot of stuff going on here.
Oh, yeah, it's a complicated book. I know.
That's a very nice way to put it, Adam. First, the obvious thing is we've got the rebacking.
So it's been repaired?
Yeah, it's just a front joint repair, looks like.
It's a little bit crude, I admit.
I'm sorry, this repair job, it's so awful.
Now, let's concentrate on the importance of the Bible and the history.
On the one hand, I like these little notes here.
This was actually a study Bible, and they made little notations in the margins.
Yeah, in some ways, those notes were what really upset other theologians, because there's a lot of, like, Protestant philosophy in there that people took issue with.
Learning a lot today.
So, Adam, I know you know that this is somewhat common as far as rare books go.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was hoping it would be an impulse purchase.
It would have to be in this condition.
Sure.
So what do you think it's worth?
Okay. I like the provenance, I like the history, but like there's just so many other things that are a problem. I think optimistically, you could try to ask $1,500 for it. But
let's try it this way. Should I buy it?
No.
No? Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm gonna pass.
This is the first time you completely shot me down. I can't believe it.
Maybe she'll buy you lunch because I'm not buying your Bible.
Yeah.
Oh, poor, poor Bible. The Bible has some issues, but we all have issues. I'm not going to be standing on a street corner, though, reading verses from it.
How you doing?
Good, how you doing, bro?
Pretty good. What do you have here?
So I have a page and a couple other little documents from the famous Breeches Bible from 1594.
Whoa. I'm not very good at reading Old English, but you could read that if you wanted to try.
Yeah, good. You try. I can't. So I'm at the pawn shop today trying to sell a page out of the famous Breeches Bible from 1594. I acquired this from my parents. They got it about 25 years or so ago. It came to me, and I don't have no use for it, so that's why I brought it here to see what we can do with it. I'm hoping to get $5,000 for my page from the Breeches Bible from 1594.
This is pretty cool. There's many different versions of the Bible. The Bible we know today is the King James Bible. And I do believe that this Bible actually was outlawed when King James decided, I'm gonna print my version of the Bible, and this is what I want you guys to read. But this was a very popular Bible, and this is the first Bible that came over with the first people to settle in America. People liked it because of these little scriptures on the side explaining things to people that weren't just scholars. You know, your everyday person could read this and understand it. There was a time when the Roman Catholic Church didn't want the Bible printed in any other language than Latin, because the church felt that the Bible is something that should be taught by the church and that individual people shouldn't be reading the Bible themselves.
Oh, wow.
There was a big movement in Europe, and everyone decided that they would print Bibles in their native language, and a lot of people didn't like that. So, you know, half of Europe it was legal, and the other half it wasn't. So how much are you looking to get for it?
I'm trying to look to get $5,000.
All right, I'm looking at it thinking maybe it could be worth money, maybe it couldn't. I know once before here, my boss has even paid $40,000 for one page out of the Bible. But the thing is with Bibles, it is the most printed book ever. And even some of these older prints aren't worth very much money because this would have been the bread and butter of the print shops back then. But, I mean, I really have no idea. It could be worth $5,000, it could be worth $500,000. I really don't know. I'd like to have someone come down and take a look at it, and then we can talk about a price after I have it authenticated and verified.
Awesome, sounds great to me.
All right, well, let me get her down here, and she will give us her holy word on it.
Cool, can't wait, excited, thank you. I'm hoping the expert says that it's authentic, and hopefully it's worth more than $5,000. I get a lot more tattoos.
This is the page of the Bible I called you about, and when it comes to the Bible, I know it can be worth zero or it can be worth a lot of money, so I figured I should call you down to take a look at it.
All right. So you can see here that they say the famous Breeches Bible, and Breeches is actually a nickname because of a verse in this Bible that was translated in kind of a funny way. It's right when Adam and Eve are leaving the Garden of Eden, and they talk about the fig leaves that they grabbed to cover themselves.
Oh.
And they say they cover it and make breeches out of the fig leaves. And that kind of stuck as the funny name for this Bible. It's also known as the Geneva Bible because it was printed in Geneva, Switzerland, and that was because this was during the reign of Queen Mary, the Catholic Bloody Mary, who was not really in favor of another English translation, so they had to leave the country in order to work on it. It's an important Bible. This was the Bible that Shakespeare would have used. This is the Bible that the Pilgrims on the Mayflower carried with them. It's really important culturally. The thing that's tricky about this is that the Bible is such a popular book. A lot of people wanted copies. It was a regular daily ritual for people even then. And what that meant was that you are seeing thousands of copies being printed even in the 16th century. And there were many books printed before this, and these days you can even still find full, complete copies of 1590s Breeches Bibles for sale pretty easily.
Oh, wow.
So unfortunately, the leaf alone doesn't really have a lot of collectible value.
Man, that sucks.
So it doesn't have a lot of collectible market value, but does it have a lot of monetary value? Because that's what matters here at this pawn shop.
I like monetary value.
Yes, I know that's what you're hoping for, but if someone were to buy this, I'd expect a retail price of around $200.
It's about the cost of the frame.
Cost of the frame.
All right.
Yep.
All right, well, it's been a pleasure, Rebecca. Sorry I don't have $1 million page out of the Bible for you, but
You win some, you lose some.
thanks for geeking out with me.
Yep, happy to do so. Take care.
You too.
All right, well, you heard everything Rebecca had to say. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to make you an offer today. It's really cool. Hopefully you learned something, and good luck selling it.
Thanks, brother, you too. So even though I didn't make a deal today, I'm not going home with no money, but I'm still gonna find a way to get more tattoos.
How can I help you?
Looking to sell this. It's a Tibetan Kapala. They use these in Buddhist and Hindu Tantra, like rituals and stuff.
This thing's really staring me down. You ever have a stare off with it?
Yeah.
I don't think you'd win.
No. I have a Tibetan Kapala that I'm hoping to sell here at the pawn shop today. I'm a collector and dealer of human bones, skulls, and other oddities, and this one was in really good shape, so I decided to grab it. I'm looking to get about 4,800 for this piece.
This is definitely cool. They've been making these for quite a long time. I know that Kapala basically means skull, and this would be real human skull right here. And the way they would get these is they would have like burial sites where they would dismember a person and they would throw their bones out onto like a field, and eventually someone would come down, pick up the skull, decorate it in different types of jewels and carvings. Mind if I take a look at it here?
Go ahead.
Well, it looks in fairly good condition. It has a hinge right here, which seems kind of weird to me if you were gonna use this as a cup, but maybe that's why it's tied on with a wire. This is kind of like other almost faces or skulls
Yeah, like
up
mini
here.
skulls on there.
Yeah, and it's got some calligraphy style drawing in here. I don't know exactly what to call that. Right down to the ears, and this kind of looks maybe like a serpent or something.
Yeah, like I think a
here.
dragon or serpent or something.
Yeah. What are you looking to do with it?
Well, I'm looking to sell it and get about 4,800 for it.
Okay, I'm intrigued by it, but the problem is there's so many different types of metals and stones on them that it's tough for me just to look at it and put a value on it. I'd really like to find out some more information on this. Can I call someone down to come take a look at this and shed a little light on it?
Sure, sure.
All right, I'll get my guy Bob Dodge down here, and he'll be able to tell us more about this.
Okay.
All right, give me a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Sure. I'm pretty confident the expert's gonna agree with most of what I've said about this. He might be able to shed some light that I wasn't aware of.
Well, this is why I called you down.
Well, I'm definitely seeing dead people here. Wow. Tibetan, of course. The Kapalas that you normally see that have been used ritually, they're almost always made out of silver and definitely human. Human jawbone, human cranium, a very ornate Kapala. You've got the dragon, you've got the nice skulls here, very nice carving here. But to me, this thing appears to have been over-decorated. If it was used in a Buddhist ritual, they wouldn't have had this decoration. That's glass. This is glass. These are glass. And definitely not silver. The really nice early ones are silver. They've got a much deeper patina to the bone. So the reality is, because it's not silver, because of the decoration, it was made for the tourist trade, so I would date this 1980, 1990-ish.
Okay. A little newer than we were hoping for there. Yeah. Okay, well, that sheds a little bit of light on it. I got one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
How much is it worth?
To him? Priceless.
If I was gonna sell this in my shop, what could I expect to get for it?
Based on the age, worth about $1,000.
Well, I appreciate you coming by.
Always a pleasure.
My pleasure. Thanks again.
Alrighty.
You heard what Bob had to say. This was made much later than what you first thought it was when you came in here.
Right.
He says it's worth $1,000, but I'm at 400.
Ooh, yeah, that's a lot lower than I'd like to go on it. I couldn't do 4.
What are you thinking? Are you still over that $1,000 mark?
To be honest, I probably the lowest I want to go is like 3,500.
Well, it looks like we're not gonna be able to make a deal. If you change your mind, you know where to come.
No problem.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. I think his value was a little off. I deal with these things quite often. Unfortunately, that isn't quite enough. I'd like to just hang on to it, see if I can sell it elsewhere.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I am great. How can I help you?
I have a commemorative medallion that was given to me by Pope Francis.
Pope Francis, the coolest of all popes.
The hip one. I'm looking to sell my commemorative medal that was given to me by Pope Francis. One side of the medallion has an image of 2 women with a child, and the other side of the medallion says Pope Francis. I really have no idea what it's worth. I kind of think it's a one-of-a-kind item. I'm hoping to sell my medallion for $5,000.
Pope Francis, he was elected Pope in 2013. One of the more recent popes, probably why he's a little more hip, born in today's culture. So people love Pope Francis because he's committed to simple living and he advocates for the poor. He's always gonna be the coolest Pope, you know? Okay, this maybe looks like when the Pope did something significant, the Vatican and the Pope, they would hand these medals out. So where did you get this?
So my father was a World War II photographer. He went into Japan after they dropped the atomic bombs and documented the aftermath. Starting about in 2017, the Pope discovered my dad's work and kind of started championing his pictures as peace movement purpose. My father passed away about 10, 11 years ago, so I went kind of as in his place, and it was there he presented me that medal.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I actually went to Italy recently because I had a Zucchetto that I had to get authenticated.
And so, no doubt that this would belong to Pope Pius XII.
That's good news. We got an amazing Zucchetto from Pope Pius XII himself. This stuff's been around for a long time, and people like to collect it. So, how much are you looking to get for it?
Well, I was hoping somewhere around like 5,000 or so.
I mean, honestly, I think that you're probably better off keeping it than even hearing what I want to offer you for it. You can find thousands of them in the $40 to $75 price range. So this is not for me to buy to try to resell. The story you have of your father getting it and the things he did is much more valuable than I think the medal
itself. Much more sentimental than it is what you could offer.
I do appreciate you bringing that in and seeing the medal that was awarded.
You got it. Thank you.
Have a good day. Thank you.
As much as I was hoping to make money, it's more of a family heirloom and a sentimental item.
I'd like to sell my copy of Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost?
Yes, sir.
You should check the Lost and Found, man.
I came to the pawn shop today to sell my Paradise Lost book. I'd like to sell it because it's way too heavy to keep around the house and moving around. I'd like to get $500 for it. I think the least I would probably take is $200.
Paradise Lost?
Yes, sir.
Where did you get this?
I was driving home from work, and I was stuck in traffic. And instead of staying in traffic, I decided to pull up the highway, and I saw an auction going on, so.
Do you know anything about this?
From what I've looked into it, the illustrator is a pretty famous guy. He did some illustrations for Paradise Lost, for Dante's Inferno, for the Bible. His name's Gustave Doré. Okay. And some pretty awesome pictures in there.
So what is the Paradise Lost?
It's a book of poems about the fall of, man with Adam and Eve and the battle between Satan and God.
This is probably the coolest engraving I've seen in the book so far. We got Satan here with Adam and Eve in the background.
Oh, yeah, I never even noticed them back there.
Paradise Lost was written in the 17th century by an English poet, John Milton. His poem about Adam and Eve and the fall of man is considered one of the greatest works of literature in the English language. So saying he arose, whom Adam thus followed with benediction, since to part, go heavenly guest, ethereal messenger, sent from whom the sovereign goddess I adore, gentle to me and oft return. What do you think that means?
Sounds like Adam got a girl.
So how much did you want for it?
I was looking for about $500 for it.
You know, if the book was in good shape, I could see a lot of money here, but it is pretty rough. There's water damage on this book, the binding's screwed up, but the engravings intrigue me.
Yeah, I mean, the engravings are awesome.
Let me have someone take a look at it.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
All right, great. I'm excited to see what the expert has to say about the book. I know that the illustrator is, well known, so I'm curious to see, how that plays into things.
Hey, how's it going, Rebecca?
Hey, Rick. Nice to see you. Paradise Lost is about two major events, the war in heaven and the fall of man. And both of these concern the concept of free will. It's probably safe to say that this is the most important poem in the English language. Okay?
Wow.
And John Milton is someone who ranks almost as important as Shakespeare.
Okay.
I like this quote right here. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell or a hell of heaven. It's really beautiful. Here's the thing about this book. It is actually a first edition of sorts. It is from the 1860s, but it's the first appearance of the Gustave Doré illustrated Paradise Lost.
Okay.
The true first came out in 1667, so this is much later, obviously. But Gustave Doré was a really important illustrator of the 19th century, and he's collected on his own terms. A really beautiful copy of this in a really beautiful binding that didn't have these condition issues could be worth up to about $2,000, $2,500.
Wow.
Okay.
In this condition, you're looking at $400 to $500.
Okay, that's kind of what I was looking for.
Good.
Thanks, girl. You're the best.
No problem. Chum?
All right.
If Rick does make a deal on this book, I think he should look into getting it rebound or restored somehow, because that will add value to the book as a whole, because the condition is so key.
So how much you want for it?
Well, I mean, she said $400 to $500, so Maybe 350?
No.
No? Okay.
Did you look at the book?
I see the book, yes.
Did you see the problems?
I do, yes.
Okay. I'll give you 200 bucks.
It seems like there's a big base that, you know, would be interested in at least the illustrations of it, though. Can you do 275?
I can give you 200 bucks. It's going to be a tough sell. It's going to sit for a long time.
I want 250 for it.
I'll go 2 1/4.
All right, I can do 2 1/4.
All right. All right, write them up, chump.
I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. I only paid $50 for it, so I really can't complain.
What do you have here?
Well, I got a couple of things. I've got a parchment, which is a license to carry for the Papal States. And then this is a Micro-Mosaic brooch of a little dog from the Papal States as well.
Okay. Pope stuff. I happen to have a little bit of experience with this. We got an amazing Zucchetto from Pope Pius XII himself.
Do you know what a Zucchetto is?
I was told it was a zucchini. Let me get my boss over here for this stuff.
All right.
Rick, put down that book and come do something useful. This is a license to carry your gun in the People's States.
Okay. Is it serial number 007 or something?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So I'm here at the pawn shop today to sell a couple of things from the Papal States, a license to carry and a papal brooch. I collect things associated with the Vatican, and I got them from various collectors overseas. Had them for quite a while, and I'm just trying to clean out the collection a little bit. I'm hoping to sell the license to carry for $2,000 and the brooch for $1,000.
This is pretty interesting. So we have a little lapel pin or something like that. We have a license to carry guns from 1804. This would have been, you know, a government document from the Papal States. Up until the late 1800s, Italy was not a country, it was a bunch of separate countries, and the Papal States, ran by the church, was its own country, and they used to have a lot of land. But now you have the Vatican that's right around a square mile. It's a real country, it's just very small, and it's in Rome. But Italy was unified in the late 1800s. So who is this signed by?
Cardinal Stewart was the one that was in charge of the Fabrica of St. Pietro at the time. That's his coat of arms right there.
Okay.
And that's Pius VII's coat of arms.
I mean, the license to carry just basically gave you the permission to have a gun on your person in the Papal States.
Right.
Sort of similar today, like here in Nevada, you can have a concealed weapons permit.
Right.
So I look at it as a government document. It's not related to the church, and it's not signed by the Pope. But this, on the other hand, is super cool. Any gold jewelry made in Europe, you can look at the hallmarks, and if you know what you're looking for, it will tell you who made it, when they made it, the purity of it, all these things.
It's got the Papal States maker's mark, very small cross keys and tiara.
And it looks like ivory, mother of pearl, tiger eye. This is 17 karat. It's 70% gold.
Right, right.
So it's some really cool stuff. What do you want for these?
Well, for the license to carry, $2,000, and for the brooch, $1,000.
Okay. I mean, this I don't want, but I'll give you 500 bucks for this.
No, it's gonna have to be a little bit higher than that. I'd come down to 900.
I mean, it's really cool, but it is Micro-Mosaic.
Right, right.
Tell you what, I'll go 600 bucks for it. I mean, you're asking a fair price what I'll retail it for, but
right, right.
If I bought and sold stuff at the same price, I'd be out of business.
So 700?
So 650?
675.
All right, 675, we got a deal.
All right.
All right, let's go write it up. You're getting soft in your old age.
I have here a antique Japanese Satsuma flask.
Do you mind if I take a look at it?
Sure, sure, go for it. I thought it'd be cool to fill it up and drink out of it, but I'm too afraid of...
Yeah, who knows what they kept in it, man.
As far as this antique flask goes, whether it's a gunpowder container or a canteen for water, I'm not really sure. Because this antique flask is older, I would hope to get around a few $100s for it.
So where'd you get it?
I got it from a weapons collector. I went to go buy some bayonets, and he had that. And I thought it was really cool, so I decided to pick it up.
All right. So tell me what you know about it, man.
Satsuma? From what I've studied, it's basically art that they do with, like, plateware, cups, canteens. But I'm not really entirely sure that that's what it is.
Okay. Japanese Satsuma originated in the 1600s.
Some of it could be really ornate and fairly expensive. But this guy has no idea what this really is, and hell, neither do I. Any idea what you're looking to get out of it?
I'd like to get 300 for it if I could.
This could be something really rare, worth $1 million, or it could be gift shop crap that no one wants.
Huh.
I'm gonna call on my friend Dr. Phineas. He's an Asian antiques expert, and he might be able to shed some light on it.
Cool.
All right, I'll be right back, man.
I am really looking forward to seeing an expert come in and tell us more about this item. I hope that he says that it's worth a lot more than a few $100s. I'd be so stoked if it was.
Well, I want to take a look at this flask. That is really cool. It's got a nice weight to it, too, doesn't it?
Yeah. He thinks it might be a Japanese Satsuma flask. I have no idea.
Well, I could understand how you would be a bit puzzled about this item, but you really picked the right man. I know what this is.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to tell you right offhand, that is not Japanese. That is definitely Chinese. And I'll tell you where the proof of the pudding is on this. It's in the calligraphy right here. This, in Chinese, says prosperity. There was a resurgence of the Daoist religion in China in 1850s. And that resurgence brought about Daoist priests who started practicing feng shui. Feng shui is what you do to a home or a business to bring about prosperity. So this is a Daoist flask used in the practice of feng shui for holding holy water.
So they actually believe this stuff?
Well, yeah, it's a very popular belief, even today in China. But in the 1850s, it was extremely popular, and to the point that an item like this would be considered to be like a religious artifact.
So what do you think it's worth?
You know, I have seen them on the auction block for about $200 to $300.
Well, Phineas, I appreciate you coming down, my man.
My pleasure entirely.
Okay.
Being a very rare representation of one of these flasks from the Daoist period. To someone who's interested in feng shui, this would probably be very collectible, very interesting to them.
So what will you take for it, man?
Yeah, I'd be happy with 120.
Make it $100 you got a deal.
100, whew. 110?
Like, the chances of me getting only $140 out of this thing are pretty high. I'll do 100. That's the best I can do.
Okay.
All right.
You got a deal.
Meet me over there. I'll write you up.
I'm excited about receiving $100 for the flask, and I think I'm going to put it towards a new guitar that I've been looking at.
How's it going?
Good. How about you?
Oh, pretty good. What do we got here?
It's a Catholic relic. It's Elizabeth Ann Seton. She was the first American-born person to be canonized by the Catholic Church. And I have the certificate of authenticity. I think it's in Italian. I was hoping you might know some Italian or Latin or whatever that is.
This is in Latin. I bought Latin for Dummies once.
I decided to come to the pawn shop today to try to sell my Catholic relic. What makes this relic rare is it comes with a certificate of authenticity. I'm hoping to sell this relic today for around $300, maybe $200 I would take for it, but hope to get more.
So what is this? What's the relic of?
I believe it's a piece of her vestments, which would be a second-degree relic. There are three types. There's a first-degree relic, which is a bit of a saint, their finger bone or fingernails or skin or whatever.
Okay, that's creepy.
Yeah, it is. I believe this is a second-degree relic, which is something that the saint wore or was close to them.
Old religious items can be extremely valuable, especially when they're tied to a pope or a saint. But I've never seen anything like this before. And I just hope this is not a piece of human flesh, because that would be really creepy. So where did you get it?
I got it in an estate sale from a priest's house after he passed away.
Okay. I'm not real familiar with Seton. I know a little bit about her. I know she started a school or something like that. You know why she was canonized?
Her three miracles were all healing, but she's actually a patron saint of education.
Do you have any idea what the certificate says, or?
Most relic certificates, it just gives a description of who the saint was, when the relic was created. It's got a seal from the church.
You know, it's so hard to even tell what it is. If it's part of her vestments, it looks like it's got blood on it or something, you know, it's... Do you have no idea what that is?
I don't.
This is my problem. I'm assuming this tells us what it is.
Well, Rick, you know what assume means.
I know exactly. I had a shop teacher, too. I would love to call on somebody who could maybe read this in Latin for us and maybe give us another clue. Do you live here in town?
No, I'm actually from out of town. I'm leaving town today.
Okay. How much did you want for it?
Maybe $300.
You know what? I really don't normally do this, but if you want to leave it here, I can have it checked out, and then we can, like, do this over the phone. If you can't work it out, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, I guess we could do that.
The guy is splitting town and leaving the item with me. This is a first. It's a hassle to say the least, but I have the feeling this thing could be really valuable, so it just might be worth it. All right, man. Maybe we'll have a deal.
All right. Hope so. I'm kind of disappointed they didn't know what it was up front, but I'm pretty excited that they're hanging on to it, and hopefully they get some good information and come back with a good offer for me.
Hey, Kristen, how's it going?
Good, how are you doing?
All right, I got this relic.
My name is Kristen Slonsky, and I am a classical linguist at the University of Nevada at Las Vegas. I love to teach, and I love to translate everything. I spend a typical Friday night translating the Aeneid from Virgil. Rick, do you have any questions?
Yeah, what kind of relic that is? I mean, we couldn't read this to find out what it was. So I'm hoping you can figure all this out for me.
Oh. Universis et singulis praesentes litteras inspectores. In the medieval ages, whenever you possessed a relic, that was considered a very important item, and they would only bring it out in very important events for blessings. When you're dealing with relics, normally it would be some kind of bodily tissue. It could be blood, hair, skin, tears, something like that, something that was directly on her person. My best guess is that it's a piece of skin, or it could be ashes after she was cremated. We really don't know for sure.
That's weird.
So what does it say?
It says, to all and each, pretty much everyone in the world, we warn the faithful, and warn is a very strong word, into whose hands these sacred relics shall come to be, that they are permitted in no way in the name of God to sell them, nor to exchange them with such things which bear the presence or facade of marketing.
That means if I buy it, I'm going to go to hell?
Pretty much.
You're going there anyhow, son.
And even if you were going to buy it, there's no way of judging its monetary value because these things are never sold. There's no starting point.
I'm all creeped out by it now anyway, so I'm not going to buy it. I really appreciate you coming in.
Anytime.
Thank you, young lady. We really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you very much.
If there's no monetary value to this thing, it's not something I'm interested in. Plain and simple.